The overhand pitching motion, as quoted out of an article from Sports Health and Sage Publications, is a process of multiple sequences of body movements that start when a pitcher lifts the lead foot, progresses to a linked motion in the hips and trunk, and finishes with a ballistic motion of the upper extremity to propel a ball or object toward in a certain direction. The lower extremity and trunk generate and transfer energy to the upper extremity. The coordinated lower extremity muscles help to provide a stable base for the trunk and rotate and flex. In biomechanics, work as defined in mechanical context is the force that's applied against a resistance times the displacement of that resistance in the direction of the force. When a body is moved as a result of the action of an applied external force, that of the body has work performed on it. And with that, the quantity of the work equal to the product of the magnitude of the applied force and the distance through which the body is moved. In the overhand throw, the shoulder and elbow, along with the hips and legs, work together by creating both net muscle torque and the direction of angular motion at all working joints, and are moving in the same direction. The work done by those muscles and are working in a positive workload. When pitching, the stride leg absorbs the impact of contact with initial knee flexion, and then stops the forward movement of the lower body and provides a firm support for the body weight shifting forward with moderate knee extension. Next, the pitcher with higher ball velocity rapidly extends the stride knee as they accelerate their arm through ball delivery, bracing the body and converting the linear momentum of the whole body generated during the stride into angular momentum of trunk flexion. Power is defined as rate of work production, calculated as work divided by the time during which the work was done. In such activities like throwing, the athlete's ability to exert mechanical power or the combination of force and velocity is critical to successfully perform their best. In your elite players or athletes, peak power is strongly associated with maximum isometric strength of various muscle groups. The timing involved when generating power to perform the overhand throw begins in the toes and feet, then moves up the leg to the hip, thorax, core, arms, and ends in the fingertips. The overhand throw does in fact require the coordination of most of the joints within the human body. According to Dr. Irwan from a university in Indonesia, he did a study of the effectiveness of sidearm throws. Based on the motion analysis viewed in dartfish, sidearm throw was deemed to be in fact simpler and faster, which meant sidearm throwing was easier to use than that of overhand throwing by the players. In conclusion to his research, sidearm throwing was more effective than overhand because the movement is shorter and simpler at the end of the test. Energy is defined in two different ways: kinetic energy, which is the energy of motion, and potential energy, which is energy by standards of a body's position or configuration, and is calculated as the product of weight and height. Strain energy is a special form of potential energy, which is the capacity to do work by virtue of a deformed body's return to its original shape. A biomechanical study looking at overhand throwing and sidearm throwing was performed by the Journal of Applied Biomechanics and Human Kinetics. They in fact proved that kinetic energy can be seen during the windup. The overhand had significantly higher maximum lead knee height and significantly less pelvic drift at the instant of maximum lead knee height compared with the sidearm group, along with maximum elbow flexion torque occurring near the instant of ball release to rapidly decelerate elbow extension. At lead foot contact, the foot angle was in a more closed position than in the sidearm when compared with the overhand. The energy applied to a greater step is more significant with overhand throwing than that of sidearm throwing. Pitchers at the various competition levels show varying muscle recruitment patterns and use of the kinetic chain to differentially generate top velocities. Professional pitchers predominantly use the subscapularis and latissimus dorsi for acceleration, whereas amateurs use more of the rotator cuff muscles with an active pectoralis minor and an inactive latissimus dorsi. Amateur pitchers display substantial bicep activity during late cocking and deceleration compared to minimal bicep activity. Professional pitchers often lose maximum shoulder external rotation and trunk forward tilt at ball release, but maintain pelvis, upper trunk, shoulder, and elbow angular velocities.